this childlike innocence or faith or belief in things, and how maybe we lose it when we become adults.
Hey, and you are listening to another episode of the Emily podcast. My name is Josh, and it's always good to just have a day of rest, which is the day that we are recording this podcast on. And if you don't know what that is Sunday or Saturday if you're observing the Sabbath. Um, but we're really excited about this episode. But before we get too far into that, we've been hearing a lot about the series Vinland Saga. Again, our last episode, your sister, bringing Rebecca in. So, Rebecca, your sister, um, she suggested Vinland Saga. Also, Angela suggested Vinland Saga, and a couple other people. I think we watched maybe one episode.
Yeah, I want to say really early on in our anime journey, it was suggested to us, and we watched the first two episodes, I think, yeah. And then I don't know, it was like it didn't it was good, but it didn't like captivate our attention. But I wonder if going back to it now, it'll be different experience. Kind of like when we first watched Clanad and we're like, "Oh my gosh, you got to watch Clanad." And we were like, "I'm
I think
so
I was hyping it
bored."
up a bit. I'll admit I was hyping it up a bit, but I mean it was so worth it to go through that and through After Story.
It was ultimately. So
Yeah,
I'm wondering if Vinland Saga will be
probably
better.
things just hit in different seasons. I think. Um, so yeah, we'll see what it's about. We need to find the dub, which is apparently only on Netflix, and we just switched from that to
Of
Hulu.
course.
And of course, Hulu doesn't have Vinland Saga, but they got other good things. But all that is all that aside, we have a returning guest with us. So it is another author, yay authors. So we have with us author of the now available vending portal, Judy Liu.
Hello, thanks again for having me again.
Yes, we're excited to chat with you again today.
Yeah, and it's wild to me that the last time we spoke, yeah, the book wasn't even out, and now it is out, and it's a real thing for people to read.
Yeah, exactly. How's all of that going, by the way, with the
Oh,
book?
yeah. I'm supposed to be writing the second one, but that has not happened. But yeah, I mean, it's slowly chugging along. I have people who reach out to me and say that they've read it, and um, I'm just always excited to be on y'all's podcast because connecting to my book, a lot of people who also watch anime say like, "Wait, this kind of sounded like, such and such anime," or like, "Wait, this kind of made me feel like this was like Avatar the Last Airbender-esque." And I'm like, "Yes, like yes. I'm so glad you guys think that." There are other ones where there's like I think recently one of my colleagues picked it up and she said, that scene where they're doing this thing, it reminds me of that scene in Spirited Away by like Studio Ghibli. And I'm like, I love the imagery. Like, yeah. So just like when I get readers who tell me like, oh, they see the connection or something, it makes me really happy because definitely these are like the images that are swimming around in my head.
Yeah, well, it's what influences you, so it makes total sense.
Yeah, totally.
And you've been nominated for quite a few awards, haven't you, for your book?
Yes, thank you for mentioning. Yeah, so one of them was like the Reader's Choice Book Award. I got a bronze medal, and then most recently, Literary Titan Award. I think they do one like each month. But yeah, they read it, and I think most of the feedback I've gotten from them is like, "Ooh, this is a fresh idea," or "This is like an idea being conveyed in a very fresh or creative way." And I think most of them really like the world building. So it's really it's a great affirmation, I guess, seeing these awards because I don't really expect it. And I think because I've read it so many times, I'm like, all right, it's just the story. And so getting this feedback is really motivational to me. It's like, okay, like you are writing something that people appreciate and it's pretty good. And it motivates me to to continue writing and be like, you know what, yeah, this is good. So it's really great. I'm really grateful for it.
I know being a creative person in general, whenever you like create something and you put it out there for the world, it's like it's really easy for it to become like your identity.
Yes.
And to get so wrapped up in, do people like it or do they not like it?
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it is really affirming and great when you're like, yay, they're very receptive of whatever I've put out. I know
Yes.
that's been one of the things about this podcast that's been so exciting is to hear such great feedback. Guests that love being on the show coming back, just like you, Judy.
Mhm.
And so yeah, that's awesome that you're getting that kind of feedback about your book.
Thank you. And then about y'all's podcast, like I know y'all are even connecting authors and creatives together. Like I have people who be like, "Hey, yeah, I'm following you because of the Analuia podcast," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm following them because of you guys." And so it's really neat.
It all comes
That's
full
cool.
circle.
I
Yeah.
love that.
And for those of you who may have not seen, this is the cover of Judy's book, The Vending Portal. Now, is this only available on Amazon or can it be purchased through other vendors?
Yes. So I think Amazon's the easiest, fastest way. It is also available on bookshop.org, which is a website that supports indie bookstores. I think a part of the profits go into indie bookstores. So there's that, as well as Barnes and Noble online. So you can purchase it there as well. And I think Target online might carry them, but I don't know anyone who's purchased through there. So yeah, bookshop.org and Barnes and Noble and Amazon.
Perfect. And last I heard, there may be a hardcover coming for the book.
Yes, I had kind of teased it on my social media, but yes, it is coming. I'm just kind of in like conversations with my publisher on like what it should look like, and that's why it's taking a bit of a while. I kind of want to change the back cover a little bit to like add a few more quotes or move stuff around, and I think they're being a little stubborn about it. So working with that, and hopefully it comes out this year.
Well, that's very exciting. Now, in terms of the second book, what's the whole? Is there an idea or a plot for that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so the book itself, for anyone who is not familiar, is a young adult dystopian. We follow these two sisters. I think they're like middle school, elementary school, and they stumble upon an old kind of broken vending machine. They play around with it and it portals them to an alternate universe that is basically dystopian. It's kind of weird, and I won't spoil it completely. The first book does end with a solution, but as we know, like not all solutions are perfect. So the second book does follow the same characters, and it'll further expand because basically, like at the end, they catch the big bad guy. It's a very simple, like this is it. And in the second book, you'll find that like it wasn't that easy. Like he was just kind of just like the head of the snake. There's like a lot more happening, and how they encounter that. And hopefully, we can dive a little deeper into the other characters as well, because I think the adult characters are very interesting as well. I'm actually hoping for a prequel with some of the adult characters to kind of talk about like the in between. But that is the second book. It'll follow a similar plot and then also like reveal a little more about the world and how it works.
That's fantastic. Can I talk? That is fantastic. Awesome. So aside from your book and everything, what are some general life updates for you?
Life updates. Let's see. I got a puppy. I think since the last time we talked, and she's a Cavapoo, and that's Cavalier Poodle mix. And I hadn't realized that a puppy is a lot of work.
Yes, they
Right?
are a lot of work.
And you guys have two dogs, right? And have
We
you had them
do.
since like puppyhood?
We've
One of
had, yeah, Ginger who just ran in. We've had her. Molly was adopted. She was like, what, 4 or 5 when we got her?
Yeah, she was either 4 or 5 when we got her. I'm not sure the people who had her even knew how old she was.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, yeah, I think she's like passed from home to home, which is kind of sad. But I'm like, we're your forever home. You're gonna
Yeah.
stay here.
You're home now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Aw. But yeah, so puppyhood is really hard. And so for the first like 2 months or 3 months or so, it was just a lot of like crying at night. And then I'm like, oh, do I go help her or do I just sit here and wait for her to cry it out? Like, does she need to potty? Like potty training and then trying to train like good habits and the teething stuff. It was a lot. So that was a lot. It was very difficult. Definitely didn't do like any writing at all. So that's a very big update. And I think that would probably be my biggest. I think that would be my biggest update. Yeah, I am traveling in like a week or so to Taiwan, just to
That's
visit some
exciting.
friends. Yeah, it is really exciting. We haven't been back in several years. Have you guys been to Taiwan or like anywhere in Asia?
Oh, we
No,
have not,
actually.
no.
Oh, y'all should go to Japan definitely.
We definitely want to go. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's several places around that we want to go.
Is
You
Taiwan
said
on your
did you say you were visiting family there? Is that what you said? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. We have some like my
Cool.
grandparents are there, extended family, so we're going to Taiwan for like a week. And it'll be really nice. I feel like Taiwan is kind of like Japan's like younger sibling. They're both yeah, they're both like island countries. East Asian culture. And so, like, I think a lot of things will feel kind of similar, other than like language and a few cultural elements and food are a little different. But yeah, a lot of Studio Ghibli actually one of Spirited Away that little town is based off of like a town in Taiwan. So they're all kind of
Really?
like, yeah, it is. So you guys should put
Didn't know
Taiwan
that.
on your list too.
Yeah, that sounds really
Certainly,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah. So what are the things when you go back that you're like, okay, I got to eat this food or I got to see this place?
Yeah, okay. So strangely, Taiwanese fried chicken is a thing. I know Korean fried chicken is a thing and that's like really delicious, but there is Taiwanese like street fried chicken. You go, they're frying it in front of you. They're putting a bunch of like the seasoning of like salt and pepper and a bunch of things on it while it's hot, and then they slip it in a bag, like a little paper wax bag, and then you eat it like out of the bag. That's really good, and that's just something I think I've been waiting for a long time. Another thing is stinky tofu. Is very popular in Taiwan. But
Now
it
that's like aged tofu, right?
yeah, I
It's
think
like
it's aged. I actually don't know how it's made.
okay, it's like grayish color, right?
I think on the inside, yes, but then it's fried.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I forget who I was watching something where
Yeah.
they like talked about how you make it
Ooh,
or what was I watching? I don't
like
even
a
remember.
cooking show or
Maybe there's a show that's on Netflix, I think, that is like street food is like the name of the show,
Yes,
but then
yes,
there's the
yes.
Asia one. That may have
Oh.
been where I saw it of like how it was made. I was like fascinating. And it's like very
Oh.
polarizing. You either love it or hate it. Kind of like durian is what I've heard. Also very polarizing.
Yes, you're right. Okay, I'm gonna have to put that on my list to watch because I do see ads for that Netflix show, Street Food. But yeah, it is very polarizing. You're right. It's like either you love it or hate it. I really don't like the smell, but the taste is like really great. It doesn't taste like what it smells. And you're supposed to eat it with some pickled cabbage, and it's really great. So looking forward to that. One thing I've actually never tried, but is very popular in Taiwan, is like it's like a tortilla ice cream. They like roll the ice cream up in a little crepe-like thing, and they also like shave kind of like a toffied caramel peanut on top of the ice cream and cilantro, and they put cilantro in there.
Okay, I was not expecting the cilantro.
You were very excited, and I threw in cilantro, and you're like, "Oh."
Yeah, I was like, yummy, cilantro. I mean, I like cilantro. I never had it on ice cream before.
I never had it. I think when I was a child, I was like, "Ew, cilantro on ice cream, gross." But like now I'm older, I'm like, "Wait, I should try it at least." So
Yeah, might
I
as
look forward
well.
to that. Yeah. What about you guys? Do you have any travel plans or any plans? Dance competitions? Because I know you two dance.
Yes, so as we mentioned on last week's episode, that is all coming to a close, unfortunately.
Or
Um,
fortunately,
yeah, yeah,
we're
unfortunately.
happy sad about it. It's a
Yeah,
bittersweet thing.
What
yeah.
happened?
Well, okay, so a lot of people don't know like the cost of a
It
dance.
is so expensive.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
So I think we were quoted almost 8 grand for the Sinets round. Yeah, I
That would have
know.
taken us through though, like another year
Yeah.
or so
Oh my god.
of all of the private lessons and group lessons and things like that. And we were like, yeah, no, we're trying to have a family and like we're
Yeah.
about to get to a
We
stage where it's going to get way more expensive.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
yeah,
We put on a good show for them. They're like, "Oh,
we did.
do you guys want my talk of that?" It's like, "We'll leave the room." It's like, "Yeah, you can leave the room." We kept it out. We kept them out there for like 5 minutes. I'm like, "Do you want to bring that in?" I'm like, "No, wait a minute more."
Oh my
So
god.
And
bad.
I just told them like, "Oh yeah, you guys can back in." No, still no. No.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
way. That is insane. That's like
Yeah.
several MacBooks. It's like
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, you're paying for private lessons. You're paying for also like
It's
not membership really because you already paid that.
well, you keep yeah, it's like every time you go up, you pay for more membership. So it
Mhm.
like bumps you out
Yeah,
even
extends
further
it. Yeah, we'll say yeah.
for membership. And it's group lessons. This one I think was quoted for 60 private lessons and
whoa.
like 25 group because we still have like 28 group lessons. So we'll continue to go to dance
Yeah,
and do
set
stuff.
up. Mhm.
But we're just not moving up to the next level.
Wow.
But yeah,
It's
bittersweet because we love dancing, but um, I'm also kind of ready to
Just
use our time differently.
yes, absolutely.
yeah.
And travel plans, not that I know of yet. Rebecca,
No, we don't have any travel plans
like,
at the moment. I mean, I have a lot of places that I would like to go,
yes.
Yeah.
but nothing in the books for now.
Mm-mm-mm.
Well, Jenny, you mentioned Studio Ghibli quite a few times in the beginning of the show today, and that is exactly what we're going to be talking about. We are slowly covering all the Studio Ghibli films on this podcast, and what better way than to start off with a Studio Ghibli film that came out the year I was born, 1988, and that is Hayao Miyazaki's Totoro. Now,
My
Totoro,
neighbor Totoro,
my neighbor
Josh.
Totoro, yes, yes, yes.
Gotta put the neighbor in there.
That's right.
So says the sweatshirt. Becky, do you want to kind of back out a little bit and show her that your sweatshirt?
Yeah, it's a little out of frame. I tried to like sit up mostly, but
So cute. Oh my gosh, the theme song is just playing in my head already.
I know, right? It's like, yeah, it's so good. I love this one.
Now with Totoro, I had like a main theme, and and we were watching it, and we're like, I asked Becca, "Are you getting any like Christian themes in this?" And they're like, "Oh no." So this will be a less on the spiritual side, more on just the fun discussion side.
Which is always exciting, right? Honestly.
Mhm.
I found at least one Bible verse that I can correlate to it. So
Oh, great.
there you go for your Sunday school. Um, so the main theme of this episode is going to be childlike faith,
That is
because
definitely true.
children are a big part of this film, and we get into yes, okay. There's May and what is the older sister? It's like
Satsuki, right?
Sh- Satsuki.
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 Yeah.
Sasuke, yeah.
Correct.
Sasuke and May. And the ingenious, at least on the dub side, is they actually casted two real sisters,
Ooh.
Faye and Dakota Fanning. So it makes their characters more believable because they're laughing, they're running
They know
around,
what it's like
and
to be
yeah.
sisters.
Mm.
So I
Silly and
thought
crazy and mad at each other and all those things.
Yes.
it was really at least I thought it was a clever acting choice, and that's the first time that I ever noticed it, even though I've seen this movie like a few times. Now, Judy, like, have you had seen this previously before rewatching it, hadn't you?
Yes, I mean, this is a childhood favorite, so I was really excited when we said that we would talk about My Neighbor Totoro. I mean, it's something I watched when I was much younger, in elementary school. I think so because my family background is like Chinese Taiwanese. I think the first time I watched it, it was dubbed in Mandarin, and the whole time I thought it was just like a Chinese animation. And then later on, I watched it in Japanese multiple times, and then people have said like, "Hey, the dub is actually really good. Like the casting is really well done." Because we know sometimes dubbing can but yeah, dubbing can be a little hit or miss sometimes. And so I think like years ago someone was like, no, the dubbing's actually pretty good. So also have watched it dubbed as well and definitely agree like the kids are phenomenal. So yeah, I've watched it multiple times.
Yeah, I think dub has really gotten a lot better in recent years. I think for a long time it was not so great, which is why it got the stigma that it did.
Mhm.
But I think it's come a long, long way.
Well,
Mhm.
certainly a lot better than like live action dub. If you've ever tried to
I
watch
still
a
can't.
live
I can't.
action dub, it's
No,
no,
so bad.
because you can honestly see that. No, okay. The worst part is they did a reality show. I saw a preview on Netflix a while back, and instead of replacing the original, they kept the original audio in and tried to layer over it the English. And I'm
What?
like,
Wait, so you hear
it's like,
two voices?
yeah, I'm like, is somebody else talking off screen? And
That's no.
yeah,
That makes no sense.
Yeah, if you're
yeah,
gonna dub it, you
yeah.
Yeah.
know?
Huh.
Wow.
But yeah, My Neighbor Totoro is very much a good, wholesome family dynamic, which is the Kusukada family, and it's their dad, the two sisters, and the mom.
Mhm.
Now, the whole situation with the mom, we're not sure if her situation is terminal, if it's cancer, or but it's something that is requiring her to be in the hospital for quite an extended stay. Now, being a single parent in that situation, I cannot imagine. But the dad is he's trying real hard to try and make this a new place to home for when their mom comes, and there's a old granny that comes to look after the children. But a lot of emotions going on there. Satsuki even like breaks down and cries because like is my mom gonna die? And Grant's trying to encourage like no, 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 she's gonna be all right. She'll be home soon. And then we get to Totoro, who is like I want to say he's a forest spirit.
I think he is. Yeah, he like embodies the forest. He's like the god of the forest, I think is who he is.
Yeah, that's
Because they go up, yeah, because there's that huge tree that's got the that band of the cord around it, which
yeah.
signifies like a sacred place. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I don't know too many details about it either, but you're right in that like there's that band with the pieces of paper on it that symbolizes it's a
Yeah.
sacred place or tree. Something maybe it's a shrine or like there's an associated shrine somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
And with Totoro, he's I guess becomes somewhat of a protective, like guardian angel figure for the sisters, if you'll say. And he's not God in a sense, but he is a quote unquote helper. I guess I could put it that way. Now with Totoro, I want to say
Well,
that.
and I
Uh,
think, sorry, Josh, to just
go.
interrupt
Yeah,
you.
no, no.
So, from what I understood, his name isn't necessarily Totoro. It's that
Oh,
he's
it's
a Totoro, I
okay.
think, which means that he's a forest god or something like that. Oh, well, or it's like a troll is what it
Yeah,
kind of sounded
that's what I
like
read
a troll of the
too.
forest. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I read too, that, like, maybe it was I hadn't known, so I think you're right, like, when I only watched it, I was like, "Oh, his name is just Totoro, he's some sort of
Yeah.
spirit," and then I did look into it because there's actually a lot of, like, educational dialogue about this film that just seems so seemingly, like, innocuous and just very simply plotted, I guess, and I think a lot of people did say, like, "Oh, he's supposed to be a troll." It's just May, the youngest girl who's, like, 4 or something, had mispronounced troll, and it became Totoro. That's what some people say. And then some people say in the after credits,
Hmm.
like there is an image of like the mom reading like the Three Billy Goats story to them with like the troll and everything. So I don't know.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of it seems like there's a lot of lore that's being presented, like a folklore in a way. And Totoro, the character we know as Totoro,
Yeah.
is like coming to life in that sense.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
I find it
Yeah.
really fun too, the way um when May first meets Totoro,
Mhm.
he he's sleeping and he's like real fluffy and everything, but he's kind of scary when you first meet him, like this big monster basically.
And he
And he's just
roars.
yeah, exactly. And he roars, ah, and she's like, oh yeah, two can play this game. Ah! She roars back. And I was like, well, and he was like, well, all right, cool. I accept you. I was like, that's all it took. All right. Simply childlike faith. I like our theme, honestly, is it's crazy.
Yeah,
Truly.
and
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I
and
was gonna say to that, like, childlike faith and that, like, Maeve sees the Totoro first and, like, Satsuki doesn't, the adults definitely don't, so it's interesting. But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
and sorry. Yeah, was just gonna bounce off of the childlike faith. So we see actually in the book of no, not Romans. Sorry about that. Oh,
Book of somewhere of something.
no. Okay, well, okay, it is in the book of Matthew. I'm not
Mm.
sure. Oh, wait, I get that off the screen. Okay, I am so sorry.
No
Okay,
worries.
childlike faith. Okay, um, so with our main theme being childlike faith, there is there's some Bible. I think it's in Matthew, and Jesus says, he's having the children come to him, and he says, look, if you do not have childlike faith, you will not see the kingdom, and that's basically like believing without seeing. I know that's been a recurrent theme in quite a few of our episodes. I mean, we did in Polar Express, we've done in a couple others. But yeah, exactly, Judy, what you were saying, like May sees Totoro first, Satsuki doesn't see him quite yet, and then the adults certainly don't see him. So it's about believing without seeing. Rebecca, can you kind of like elaborate on that a little bit as far as like the importance of it?
Having childlike faith?
Yes.
Oh, I was like, what are you asking?
She's, like, being called on in class.
I definitely felt like that. I was like,
No, 42, 42, yeah.
yeah, right. Always meaning of life. Um, yeah, it's so important to have childlike faith. Obviously, if Jesus said it, then it's important. But um, yeah, I think children are so unique and special. I've um, I've got a friend actually who has a little girl. She is 5, I think, 5 or 6. And she just believes everything that her mom tells her is true. Mom says Jesus is real, therefore he is real. She says I think she told her one time, she was like, you can pray to Jesus and ask him to take away this scary feeling, or tell whatever it is that you think is watching you to go away. And you don't have to have mommy pray for you. And lo and behold, that night she just did it. She was like, well, mom said it was true, so therefore I can. And she just prayed to herself. And it's like situation after situation like that. And it's like, how beautiful is that? um, just the faith of a child to just say, well, it's true.
Mhm.
There is no question about it. And I think that's just so important for us. When we read something in the Bible, well, it's true. It's um, we may need to kind of work it out for ourselves, but and what it actually means in our lives. But having faith like that, just to say, yeah, God is real, He's there.
And then as you grow up, and you have, questions, it is encouraged to research and do deep study, not just take it at face value.
Believe. Yeah.
Absolutely. And God is not scared of your questions. Ask Him
Mhm.
all your questions.
I
That's
mean, he
okay.
is he is omnipotent. So
Mhm. And I think
Yeah.
that's
And if
really oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, I had nothing else really to add. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think it's a really great point because I think Hayao Miyazaki, the guy who, made My Neighbor Totoro, I think he does this a lot in his films where he emphasizes like this childlike innocence or faith or belief in things, and how maybe we lose it when we become adults. Um, I think he really plays a lot on like nostalgia and childhood. Um, yeah, except for like his serious, really serious like films. But yeah, I think a lot of them do that, and it's just such a feel good film. I think.
Oh, for sure. More so than like any of the other
yeah,
films. I
I
think this
mean,
one is the most feel good.
especially if you've ever seen like Grave of the Fireflies.
Yeah, weren't they
So
released the same year, right? Side by side.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe we
Yeah.
like I haven't seen it personally, but it is something that we're gonna watch here soon.
Oh, are we? Are we
Yeah,
talking about it with another
we are.
guest?
Yep.
I've
Ooh,
actually
more
never
guests.
watched it because I've heard that it's just deep and it makes you cry.
Our our guest who suggested it um said in their send their email no okay said in their email that it is a punch in the face at
Oof.
the beginning, then a punch in the gut at the end.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think
Looking forward to that.
yeah, yeah, you two have fun with that. But yeah, I think if not Grave of the Fireflies, I think My Neighbor Totoro was released with another more serious Hayao Miyazaki film because I think they wanted someone fact check me on this later or something, but I feel like I read somewhere that they wanted to release My Neighbor Totoro, but like no like major studio was buying into it because they were like, dude, there's no plot, like there's no major, like it's
Yeah.
not a thriller. And so they're like, fine, like we'll do another one that's a little more intense together and just to like show that they're able to do that. I think I read that somewhere, but I could be wrong.
Interesting. I mean, the studios are kind of right. There's not a
There
lot of a
really isn't.
plot,
Yeah.
except that it's this family who's trying to process the mom of the family having this illness, and how are they going to move forward? How are they going to do life? And will she ever come home?
Yeah.
I don't think we end up seeing if she does come home or
Yeah,
not in the
there's
movie.
like
And the after
they
credits though.
yeah, yes.
To what?
And in
The
the
after
after
credits
credits.
The after
Oh,
credits have like little illustrations and it shows that she comes home. I don't know if it's permanent or if she comes home for a visit, but she does like there's like images of her like getting off and hugging them and stuff. So, but you're
Yeah,
right.
because in the before the credits it's alluded that she might go home, but yeah,
Mhm.
it's in that after credit illustration.
Yeah, and I think too
Um,
that the fact that they're, like, trying to process this difficult thing, they're
mm,
also moving, like, it's, like, new
right.
potentially a new
That's a
school
lot.
I
level.
mean, yeah,
Then, yeah, in comes, like, Totoro, who I think he comes at a time of need. I mean, especially at that scene where, like, they're at the well, I mean, especially at the scene where Satsuki is looking for Mei when Mei, like, runs off to find the hospital. But I think also when they're waiting at the bus stop, like, I think he keeps showing up when they need them.
Yeah, yeah, kind of like what Josh was saying earlier about being a guardian angel in a way to
Yeah,
watch over them. Because I don't, it didn't seem like he came back after that sort of critical time.
it
So it
didn't
was
seem
like a sort of isolated time period of where he showed up when they needed him.
mhm.
Hmm.
and I want to talk a little bit about the imagery. I have a clip here from the movie. There is one scene where I guess they're trying to like grow like
The
that. Yeah, the
acorns.
acorns. Um, and it's just this like beautiful like scene where it's just like come up.
Mhm.
They're doing their
So
little dance.
yeah,
Mhm.
I think what's interesting about that scene is that they do all of that and the tree grows huge. And then in the morning when they wake up,
it's
there's
just like
nothing there. Well, it was
well,
like tiny
yeah,
little
it's a tiny
sprouts
little
were
thing.
beginning.
It's like, oh my gosh, it worked.
Yeah. And, I wondered, like, what was the point of that? And I think it was almost like Totoro and the other two little, I think it's Totoros. Um, it's like they were showing the two girls what's going to happen in the future. It'll take a long, long time, but like there is hope for the future that these acorns will grow into something mighty and beautiful and that they could continue on in their life with hope.
Yeah, just like in the movie Field of Dreams, if you plant them, they will come.
Oh gosh.
Oh gosh, but yeah, I just love that scene just because there's so much wrapped up into it, and the dad is like none the wiser. I think he's on the other side of the house. He's like, "Oh, what's going on out there?" But yeah, um, now Judy, in our notes, as far as like a religious figure,
Mm.
again, not really Jesus, not really Allah, but he's more so like a Buddha just because of his size and all that stuff. Again, loosely kind of like connecting it to that.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah. No, no, I think, like, yeah, definitely some sort of spirit. But, like, perhaps we could connect him to Buddha just because, like, he's super big. He's kind, he's, generous. But that's really the extent of what I know about Buddha and Buddhism, really. But I think just like size wise, it could be related. Who knows? And I also thought it was really interesting in that when he first showed up at the bus stop and Satsuki saw him for the first time, I thought it was like she gave him an umbrella and then he gave her those acorns in exchange. And I felt like it was very similar in like, oh, like maybe she gave him an offering and he provides the harvest, kind of
Hmm.
in a way.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah,
Yeah, they are all about those acorns. Um, so I'm wondering if he's like a specifically a tree god or tree
Perhaps.
spirit or whatever he is, tree troll, if you will.
Yeah.
So that's why he's like giving out these acorns
Yeah.
as, yeah, growth and harvest.
Maybe
Um,
that tree with the big rope around it was an acorn tree? Like, yeah, I don't know.
Maybe, yeah, that would make sense because they don't the little ones like go around gathering up
Yes. Yes,
acorns.
they do. Yeah.
Such a funny little thing that they would do. So yeah, I'm wondering if something's got to be connected with that. I don't know.
Very. Yeah.
I wish we knew more of the like spiritual aspect of what was going through Miyazaki's mind when he was
yeah,
creating that. What is this like a real thing that people like worship the gods of the trees or spirits of the trees? Do they give acorns? Are acorns special? Or is this just like a cute little kids film that loosely is connected to, I don't know, spiritual things?
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. I feel like he's very comfortable with not giving us all the answers.
That's
Um,
true.
and I think I've heard that even in interviews, people are like, "What does this mean?" And he's like, "What do you think?" Or like he gives a different answer each time, and it's like, yeah, I think he likes to have us wonder and interpret it in our own ways, and I think maybe that's why his films are usually pretty like internationally appreciated,
Yeah.
um, because he leaves enough space for everyone to interpret it in their own ways without just giving us the answers, I suppose.
Yeah, I love that. And honestly, I really relate to that because if I'm creating art, if I'm creating a painting of some kind, it's
Mhm,
going to be abstract painting.
mhm,
And I may have an idea of what I think this is, or I could have no idea at all. And I'm just throwing paint and colors that go together on a canvas.
uh-huh.
And then other people come in and they look at it and they're like, "Ooh, it kind of looks like this." And I'm like, "Oh, interesting. What else do you see?" Because like,
Ooh,
"Well, what did you mean it to be?" I'm like, "Whatever you want
yeah,
it to be. That's the most important thing because
mhm,
that's what connects the art to you. And that's what I care about the most." So I that totally makes sense that Miyazaki would be that way about his films.
mm,
And I also very much appreciate that because too many films, especially animated, it's like, okay, we got point A, point B, point C. This is all what it means. This is all laid out. But when you leave it out for interpretation, you can kind of make your own conclusions, which is nice that Miyazaki does that. Now, Deco, we're going to talk about one thing that I think freaked you out, freaked us all out, the cat bus.
Oh gosh.
oh my gosh.
Less freaky the second time we watched
Yes.
it, but that first time, that was a weird, weird
The
part of the movie.
ginormous smile.
Yes, it reminded me a lot of the Cheshire Cat, and I do
Oh
not
yeah.
like the Cheshire Cat.
Me
Mm,
neither. Mm-mm.
creepy, don't like it. I'm not like a huge cat person, which is weird because I've got these little cat ears on my headphones. I like cats. I like other people's cats. I'm not sure I would personally want to own a cat.
Mm-mm.
Owning dogs is much more my thing.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, so it was, I mean, I guess it would have been really comfy to sit inside this cat.
Fuzzy
Uh,
seats.
yeah, it's like got a
I
70s vibe going on.
yeah.
Oh, with the dice hanging.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yes, yes. Gotcha. Yeah, but again, it all goes back to that childlike phase. Oh, it's a cat, it's a bus. And yeah,
Yeah, sure. I'll jump in this cat bus. It's weird as all get out, but sure, let's go. Hopefully, this cat bus will take me where I want to go.
Mhm. Yeah, and actually, you know what? I'm thinking like, you mentioned the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland, and I think it's really similar as well when we see May chase the bunny or the Totoro that looks like a bunny,
oh yes,
right?
with
Like
the
into
little
this little tunnel.
Actually,
Yeah, and then she
yeah.
falls into the big Totoro. I
Hmm,
wonder.
that is really interesting. I had never thought about it like that, but it is very and think because things get weird after she finds Totoro. It's like,
Mhm.
yeah, she goes into this other dimension, if you will.
Yeah.
I've never thought of that.
Oh,
maybe subconsciously drawing inspiration from that. Again, could be
maybe, or maybe we're just seeing what we wanted to see. I don't
exactly
know.
Well, well, apparently that's okay to Miyazaki, so
Yeah, that's true.
the big okay from them. So there we go.
yeah.
Now, another thing though, Totoro that I'll just touch on briefly is the whole um, type of his imagery and the art that goes into it still just amazes me to this day. It amazes me in Spirited Away, in Princess Mononoke. While not, as fantastical in this movie as others, it's still just all the detail that's in there and just so much to appreciate about that. Wouldn't either of you um,
I agree. I mean,
Agree.
I feel like he made it very much kind of like slice of life. Like this is just
Mhm.
a guy trying to take care of his two young daughters while their mom's sick, and he's trying to be supportive while also working because we see him working like days and
Mhm.
nights. I'm sure a lot of parents during COVID could relate to him like working while his kids are like out playing, trying to incorporate his kids into this new society, and then yet we have this other side where there are these um, spiritual beings, the cat bus, the Totoros, the sprites, the soot sprites. Um, I don't know if the dad ever sees it, but like Miyazaki incorporates these like fantastical things um, into this slice of life film that almost makes you wonder. It's not like it's not like an intense fantasy. It's like wow, like we're in this whole new wonky world. It's like oh, in my life is it possible that there are these little soot sprites in my closet? Like I think that's how he incorporated them in this aspect where it's like oh they could be in your own life as well.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that because that's so true. It's like he's taking, and we talked, I think, a little bit about this earlier, but he's taking um, fairy tales or folklore and he's making them real in his stories. It
Hmm.
actually makes me think of a podcast I've been listening to recently. Apparently, it's wildly popular, but I had never heard of it until recently. It's called Lore.
I've listened to it before, yes.
And it's so good, but it talks all about the different folklore around the world and where did it come from? What is it now? Is it real? He doesn't quite go into is it real, but and it's a little bit on the creepy side, so if you don't like that, then maybe stay away, but I like it because it's very historical, which is really fun. But it kind of reminds me of that because it's like this is what it would be like in everyday life. Like there's these people in I think Iceland who
Mhm.
still believe that there's this invisible culture of invisible people who
What?
live. Yeah, they like wouldn't move this rock or something. And this is like present day. Oh, that's where the whatever they were called live. And you're like, interesting. So yeah, it's kind of like yeah, it like brings in the fantastical into your everyday world. And
Mhm.
yeah, maybe I do have little soot sprites that are around. Or
Yeah,
maybe all those things I heard about, maybe they're real.
yeah.
Thankfully in this they're like, happy and
Yeah.
not scary.
Mhm. Agree, and the girls just aren't afraid, other than, like, the
No.
sprites I think
Yeah.
scared them at first, but I think that was just, like, the element of surprise, um, but yeah, they were not afraid of spirits, and I also find that very interesting that, um yeah, they just kind of viewed everything with a blank slate. Like you said, when they were doing the dancing with the sprouts and everything was growing really fast, and the next morning it was just tiny little sprouts. I don't think their reaction was like disappointment that it didn't happen as they saw it. They were just like, yeah, it worked. Like everything is very positive with them, even though they've moved to a new place, their mom's in the hospital. And I think the only time we ever see really like I mean, we see sisterly and sibling frustration, but the only time we really see like a lot of emotion is I mean, May cries because she's like a child and we all should cry and it's totally fine, but she's more comfortable crying. But we see Satsuki, I think she's holding a lot in. And there is that one part where she like has a breakdown and like the grandma's like, it's okay. And then I don't know, at that moment, and I totally just digress, but at that moment, I realized like, whoa, she must be like dealing with a lot. But otherwise, everything they're very positive. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I'm sure Saskia um she is dealing with a lot because she's the big sister and I totally get it. I'm a big sister as well.
Mhm.
And like if my mom was in the hospital, I would feel totally responsible, particularly for my younger siblings.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of pressure that, I mean, really you don't need to take on, but
Yeah.
it happens.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, the dad's doing the best he can. And man,
Yeah.
yeah, and what a great thing though that they are so positive, because they could have spiraled as kids. They could have spiraled into the pain and the wondering, is mom ever going to come back?
Yeah.
But instead, it was, how are we going to make the house look great for mom when she comes back? And
Yeah.
got to clean it out. And it's a very
Mhm.
sort of can do, positive attitude, which
Yeah.
honestly, we all need in our lives.
Agree.
Yeah, so everything about this film, the family aspect, the childlike faith, Totoro, spirits, just I mean everything's positive. I can't find one negative with this movie. So really, really like it. We would recommend it. I think at this time it's all most Studio Ghibli films are available on HBO Max. For those of you that have streaming services. Again, we want to thank Judy once again for coming back on the show, and also to get a copy, if you haven't already, of The Bending Portal, and be on the lookout for her next book as well. And Judy, you can be followed on Instagram at Judy Liu Author, correct?
Yes, at Judy Liu _author. Yes. Thank you for the plug.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. We love to promote and encourage, good reads such as this one. And again, getting this as much screen time as possible.
Yeah.
Um, but yes, absolutely. So, other than that, I think this wraps up our discussion for Totoro. As always, keep those halos shiny and stay holy, my friends.